So yes, optimal local therapy in breast cancer after neoadjuvant therapy. So as we all know that local therapy is the key. So, okay, can I have the next slide? That for any treatment which is with curative intent, local therapy is critical and is integral part of the treatment. And as everybody has emphasized, it's a multidisciplinary team approach which decides which patients to go for neoadjuvant therapy. And once that has been completed, a fresh assessment is done that what is the optimal surgery required for this patient. As far as the goals of neoadjuvant therapy are concerned, obviously, in situations we want to downsize the tumor to consider for breast conservation, or even sometimes to make inoperable tumors operable, or look at, based on the current trials, we know that how residual disease decides further course of treatment. So in that case, in vivo drug response helps in deciding further course of action. Pathological response and prognostication also helps. Then tailoring adjuvant therapy, as I just mentioned. And surgical objectives, as we mentioned, that inoperable to operable, or improving the breast tumor ratio to have a breast conservative surgery, and the current practice, or even addressing the axilla in a conservative manner. Those patients who can be now suitably prepared for sentinel node after neoadjuvant therapy. So next slide, please. So with this in aim, the loco-regional therapy is planned, and as we all know, surgery and radiation are the two loco-regional therapy modalities. I will finish radiation with one line that all those patients who start with neoadjuvant therapy must have adjuvant RT. So if you are planning neoadjuvant treatment, then in that case, you are actually committing that you have to go for radiation as well. However, surgery is something which can be tailored depending on for the primary and for the axillary disease. Now, for the primary, what are the options? Where we go for mastectomy? What are the patients who have become suitable for conservative surgery? Conservative mastectomy, that is skin sparing or nipple sparing mastectomy and reconstruction, and the patients who go for conservative surgery. Then axilla is the standard treatment. You go for axillary resection. However, there is a subset of patients where sentinel node biopsy they are eligible for SLNB post neoadjuvant therapy. We all know that there have been studies to compare sentinel node sampling pre-neoadjuvant therapy and post-neoadjuvant therapy, and it has been widely accepted that the post-neoadjuvant therapy is the gold standard today. Next slide, please. Now, look at this old data, which was not obviously, this is retrospective data, where in NSABP and EORTC, they found out that those patients who had neoadjuvant therapy, there the breast conservation rates were higher compared to those who had upfront surgery. So, and that margin was only 7-8%, if you or 10% in that sense. So it is a shift, that an evidence that if you start with neoadjuvant, there's more likelihood that one will be eligible for conservative surgery. However, since this was not a planned study or anything, therefore it is quite possible that neoadjuvant was offered only to those patients who were at a certain size, and adjuvant were taken away taken for surgery upfront with a plan for mastectomy or the surgery depending on the primary tumor size. So based on this, next slide, please. There have been a meta-analysis in 2017, which when they compared the breast conservative surgery with mastectomy in locally advanced breast cancer after good response to neoadjuvant therapy. And in this meta-analysis, they found that the patients with good response showed no significant difference in local recurrence or regional recurrence. However, they had a higher rate of conservative surgery compared to mastectomy. And this was the only thing which was statistically significant in the group. So it is not the survival, not anything else. It was mainly about the BCS rate, which was better in these patients who were studied in this meta-analysis. Next, please. So this is a article by Dr. Badwe and Vani Parmar, that safety and feasibility of BCS in Indian data, and they also concluded that it is quite safe to offer BCS in patients after neoadjuvant therapy, after downsizing of tumor, this making it possible to even consider conservation surgery, and breast cancer treatment after chemotherapy is to be offered as routine procedure at major centers where there's a multidisciplinary approach, and every patient has been evaluated by the team in terms of its tumor biology, how aggressive the tumor is, how the response rate is expected, and also the nature of tumor. Multicentric tumors and skin involvement in certain groups are not included. But looking at all these things in a very objective manner, a decision should be taken that the intent of neoadjuvant therapy is towards conservation or some other purpose. That has to be decided beforehand. An appropriate plan has to be made. That means these patients should have a core biopsy. There should be a marking of the tumor center, core of the tumor by a clip, either upfront or soon after 1 or 2 cycles of chemotherapy, and appropriate evaluation is done at regular intervals. Next, please. Similar to this, then the Association of Breast Surgeons of India came out with these recommendations and guidelines where they said that only a subset of locally advanced breast cancer can be offered NSCT, BCS, depending on the specifications and patients planned for such a surgery. For the patients who have positive tumor response to NSCT during the surgery, the extent of tissue to be excised should be wide of current post-BACT margins. So this is just an emphasis that one should be slightly more liberal in margins compared to what we are in upfront surgery. So it is not that surgery has not to be for the initial tumor size. Surgery has to be depending on the response with slightly more liberal margins, so to say. Next, please. And if I look at this, that those patients who have a larger residual disease, like more than 2 centimeters of a lymphovascular invasion or multifocal disease, they have higher chances of local recurrence. So when we are evaluating a patient post-neoadjuvant chemotherapy for surgery, one should be careful that the decision to conserve has to be based on appropriate parameters. How good the response is, how the skin is looking, what is the earlier biology, it's a multifocal disease. One should not get cornered and pushed that because you have committed, so you have to go for conservative surgery. So we always tell our patients upfront that your possibility of going ahead with conservation will be improved by about 15-20%. And that kind of a number plays out finally. Next, please. So this is a article by Malika and Arvind Krishnamurthy on how to select these patients. So in that situation, I want to highlight few points. However, one point I don't agree with this here, that solitary tumor, 4 cm less in size, with no skin involvement, or 2 primary tumors within a sphere of 4 centimeters, absence of multicentric calcification, no skin involvement, tumor breast ratio, where it is obviously not appropriate for upfront BCS, but depending on the response can get. The fifth point, that's clinically node negative or with small mobile axillary node. So this is one thing which they have highlighted, but in today's practice, it can be even N2 or so to say, even N3 disease, where we can safely offer conservative surgery post-neoadjuvant chemotherapy without any limitation or deterioration in terms of outcome. The absence of extensive involvement of dermis and continuing for radiotherapy are obvious factors, but as we all know that all these patients will be anyways requiring radiation. So that has to be decisions taken upfront. If there is any continuing for radiation therapy, then this patient should not be taken for neoadjuvant chemotherapy with the intent of conservation. Next, please. So the response assessment is critical. There has to be clear documentation of the pre-chemo tumor. The imaging, mammography has to be evaluated, ultrasound. MRI should be used only for problem-solving tool. My personal threshold for MRI is low, but I think it is wise to just use mammogram ultrasound in a planned manner, and that gives maximal information. A clip placement is a gold standard. It should be done upfront or in larger tumors after 1 or 2 cycles of chemotherapy. Interim evaluation every 2 to 4 cycles is very, very important. We have often seen that when we switch a patient from AC to T, and likewise any switch at that time, sometimes the response is not similar. So after 2 cycles, if there's static disease or there's a progression, then we interrupt and go in for treatment. So only those who are responding properly should go ahead with completion of chemotherapy, neoadjuvant chemotherapy before surgical plan. Otherwise, the surgery still remains the mainstay and the best opportunity for treatment. So a patient who is sent for chemotherapy should be objectively evaluated by surgeon and medical oncologist to see that we don't miss the bus in our attempt to conserve. We should not lose the life. So post-chemo response assessment is important. It should be clinical. It should be imaging. We routinely do ultrasound evaluation for these patients where the clinical response is equivocal. Next, please. Now, what is a safe margin? Obviously, we are not looking at a safe margin based on the initial tumor size. The initial tumor size is documented, the clip is placed. However, and the residual tumor is palpated and also with ultrasound marked. Invariably, we do a J-wire localization. I'll show you the next slide. J-wire localization of the clip, and then do a more liberal margins for that. Next slide, please. We do a more liberal margins for the clip so that we are sure that we have taken a periphery of the tumor in a significant manner. Therefore, next slide, please. Therefore, these patients who have a neoadjuvant chemo, and also that we do for all our patients intraoperative frozen section control. In fact, we do even for upfront conservative surgery patients also get an intraoperative frozen section evaluation. And these things help very much in avoiding redo surgeries, and the concordance is very good, as pointed out in this particular study, that patients who have suspicious margins at time of revision, this is the best time to revise the margins, best time to make sure that we have done appropriate, because once you have done oncoplastic mobilization of walls, then it becomes really challenging to revise the correct margin. And as we all realize, next slide please, that as we do more and more conservative surgeries and wider excision, there is more need for oncoplastic surgical techniques to fill the cavity properly, give proper shape, and achieve the goals of breast conservation surgery by mobilizing the walls and making sure that there is no seroma formation in the cavity. And therefore, in this situation, it's important that whenever we are offering, we have to have a proper surgical plan that how this conservation and oncoplasty will be done post resection. Next, please. Then we go on to the management of the axilla after neoadjuvant chemotherapy. So the classical norm after neoadjuvant chemotherapy is to do level 1 and 2 dissection. Obviously, level 3 is reserved for a subset of patients where there is a gross disease in level 1 and 2. Otherwise, it has to be avoided. The use of neoadjuvant chemotherapy, as we all know, is growing at a rapid pace. And therefore, there's often a use of so-called early breast cancer. That means those who are low nodal burden and all that. These are best patients for neoadjuvant chemotherapy. The role of sentinel node biopsy after neoadjuvant chemotherapy is best suitable for clinically node negative or N1 disease. So when I say clinically, this includes ultrasound evaluation of the axilla. And the timing of sentinel node is best after chemotherapy and not before chemotherapy. Next, please. Now, what we do, how often does neoadjuvant chemotherapy avoid axillary dissection? This is the key question, that how often we are actually able to avoid chemotherapy, axillary dissection, complete axillary dissection, and get away with only sentinel node biopsy. So this is a large study, a prospective study from 2013 to 15, where they said that proven node positive cases were identified for purpose of sentinel node. And as we all know, all those which are node positive, a clip must be placed at the node also. And this targeted area where this node was positive has to be addressed. Wherever the sentinel node takes, that's different. But this target axillary clearance is a critical part of the whole surgical exercise for the axilla. Next, please. So in this particular study, for example, in 195 patients with node positive, they found that although the T4 or N2, N3 disease, they were not eligible for sentinel node. They straight away go for axillary node dissection. Those who were eligible for sentinel node, all those patients who had residual nodal disease, again were not eligible to sentinel node and went for axillary dissection. And of those patients where sentinel node was attempted, there in a subset of patients, the procedure failed. For example, 3 patients. In a subset, there were less than 3 nodes sampled. Therefore, you have to do a complete axilla, because in this subset of patients, one should be more careful about the failure in the axilla. And only about 65 patients require, and again, 65 patients had ALND because of failed mapping intraoperative, and only 62 patients got away with only sentinel node. So that is almost 40% of patients. Next, please. This is just a detailed mapping of the same thing. So they did a frozen section of the sentinel nodes, and that also helped in deciding the patients who would go for straight away axillary dissection. And ALND could be avoided only in 40% of patients with nodal metastasis, with no standard contraindications to sentinel node biopsy at the time of surgery. So still, when you do sentinel node in LABC in patients who have neoadjuvant chemotherapy, one has to be careful that your case selection is good. The right patient should be taken up for sentinel node, and your threshold for converting into level 1 and 2 should be low. It should not be missing the bus and trying to be more conservative, just like an upfront surgery. A careful assessment of axilla, both by clinical and ultrasound, is important. Next, please. So, role of axillary surgery after neoadjuvant chemotherapy. We just mentioned that at least 3 nodes, clinically positive node has to be sampled, target excision has to be done, and false negative rate, if there are less nodes, will be high. So it is important that we make sure that there are 3 or more nodes sampled appropriately and assessed. If positive, then go ahead and complete the axilla and don't and none of the other earlier trials of AZOG and other which apply for upfront surgery don't apply here. And here a threshold for conversion is very high. Next, please. So this is the target excision that you have targeted the clip which was there in the axilla, and that particular node with the clip has to be taken out at the time of sampling, doing a sentinel node and evaluating that node as well. Next slide, please. So this is just to highlight that this node has been taken out from the area. This is the image of the lymph node, which was localized, via localization removed. Next, please. So if I have to conclude, I will say that BCS in LABC is feasible and safe, and long-term results are very satisfying. There is no reason to really be wary of not offering conservation. However, case selection has to be thorough. Tumor biology has to be understood. We have to make sure that we are evaluating taking the right patient for conservation. Patient's wish and proper imaging method approach is critical. Lesion identification by clip and marker is important. JY location, intraoperative fluorescein margins is essential, is a useful adjunct. Next, please. And sentinel node, oncoplastic techniques, we should have relatively higher, wider margins compared to upfront surgery and acceptable cost basis by using of oncoplasty. And sentinel node biopsy should be carefully assessed in these patients and offered to the right patient. Thank you.